You know, when I decided to run for office, there were a lot of things that I did not expect. And even though Bob Beatty said it very clearly that this election was probably going to be one of the nastiest elections, if you look at the way that I have comported myself throughout this process, it's been the same way that I have. I wanted to make sure that I ran a campaign that was full of dignity and integrity, and that it respected the people not only that I hoped to serve, but very importantly for me as well, was that I was going to respect the people that I have the privilege of serving right now. And what I wanted to ensure is that my character was going to come across throughout this whole process. That the same mayor and council person and nonprofit person that you all knew was going to be the same person. Because no matter whether Michelle is here as a nonprofit employee or in DC as a congresswoman, Michelle is going to be the same. And call me wishful, but I thought that I was going to show Kansas that you could do it different. I was going to show Kansas that integrity is still in politics, because everybody is tired. Everybody is tired. And then the reason I'm calling you here today is because, above all things, I'm a mom. And it doesn't escape me that the way that I will handle this election is how not only my daughters, but women locally, young girls locally and nationally, and other women nationally are taking cues from the wave of women who are running for office. And way too often, girls are brought up being told, hey, if the boy hits you, he likes you, it's okay. But it's not. It absolutely is not. And I would be damned if I let my daughters watch somebody lie about me and me sit down and take it because it's the proper thing to do in politics. Because to me, politics is not about politics. Over the last few weeks, you have seen my opponent, Jake LaTurner, come up with false ads. And you know, the thing is that it's not just about the ads. If you're going to make ads that are going to be inflammatory, by all means, feel free to do so. But make sure that they're at least factual. I'm going to show you all a few things that have been happening. Both the Iola Register and the Kansas Reflector talked about how Mr. LaTurner used spliced messaging from press conferences. And this began as early as August, when the RNC, the RCCC, the Republican Congressional Committee, decided to take a piece of this press conference.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to our media partners for being here at this short a notice. I am certain that everybody has an idea of what we're here to talk about, and I'm sure that everybody has, like I have been, and several of our council members, been receiving phone calls with questions with regards to defunding the police. And I want to first and foremost acknowledge that on July 18th, there was an article published in the Capital Journal in which I expressed that defunding the police was a very bad marketing term, because what it means is what the city of Topeka has already been doing as practices for the last 2 years.
And if you stop it there, it sounds pretty bad. However,
now those remarks have been taken out of context. And in a world in which misinformation is passed on so rapidly in social media, I can tell you that we have been receiving several calls that we have all been addressing, in which we're being asked, are you defunding the police? And unequivocally, I will say we are not defunding the police department. Furthermore, if you take a look at the last meeting that we had of the council last Tuesday, we added an additional $20,000 while we had a budget in which we cut several departments to make sure that the police department was able to have resources from Vallejo.
okay. Then after that, right before that press conference, this happened.
Just reiterating, the Topeka Police Department already adheres to everything that's in the 8K. It's very important for the citizens to know in the city of Topeka. When we talk about those things, we don't do them anyway. There's been absolutely zero talk about eliminating body-worn cameras or anything like that. There's been zero talk about defunding the police department. I don't know where those conversations have come from, but
I know where they're coming from. The Iola Register took a piece of the Kansas Reflector, who admonished Mr. LaTurner for doing fake ads, talking about my police department. And finally, here we have, just this morning, you have how the the KC Star has admonished Mr. LaTurner for lying. He hasn't called his colleagues for his endless efforts to undermine the healthcare and his commitment. So here we are again, yet another newspaper, and you can take a look at this article. And you can see that you have now, how many reputable sources? You can turn on the light, Nicole. So we have a chief of police saying that we're not defunding the police. We have myself saying in a press conference that was cut out so that now citizens in this community have concerns with regards to their safety, which is extremely irresponsible. You have credible news outlets saying that this is inadequate. He is being called a liar. And today, my message is simple. I know that the golden rule of politics is for us not to take anything personally. And I know that in every single campaign, there are gonna be ads that are intended to wound your opponent. And I know that the smart move is to shrug them off. And this may be the only golden rule in politics that I'm gonna break. But you know what? Some attacks are just absolutely too false. And I cannot ignore it. My honor as a person, my honor as a candidate, and most importantly, my honor as an elected official. Jake LaTurner has been lying about me for months. That's what candidates do when they have absolutely nothing to say about their opponent. He's called me a socialist when he knows I am not. He's called me radical when my record for the last 8 years in the city of Topeka have shown the absolute opposite. He loves to call me Nancy Pelosi's puppet when I haven't even met the lady. Basically, he knows he has crossed the line, and he keeps saying repeatedly that I am defunding the police. How many reputable news outlets have to come out to say that he is lying for this to stop? He also alleges that I am a radical that is not a friend of the police because I marched next to my chief of police and other members of the council in the Black Lives Matters rally. Jake, I am the mayor of the city of Topeka, and I work closely with our police chief and everybody on the council. Nobody is talking about defunding the police. And if you have any questions, by all means, go and ask them. That's why the Kansas Reflector, the Iola Register, WIBW's interviews with the chief, and most recently the KC Star say that you are lying. Is that the kind of campaign that you want to run? One based on lying to the very people that you want to represent. Now let me explain to you why I take this one so personally. I think that everybody in this community knows that I am the survivor of domestic violence. And I will never forget the times that it was a law enforcement officer that kept me and my kids safe. The police and the sheriff had my back, and I will always have theirs. Jake, politics are not theater. This district and this nation have a whole bunch of issues that we need to deal with. We need to deal with COVID. We need to deal with the cratering economy. We need to deal with people's lives that are being lost. But the way that we deal with these things is not by lying. Let's talk about ideas and let's talk about policy all day. I'm happy to. I think I demonstrated that in the last debates that we had, respectfully. But here's the deal. If Kansans want to vote for Mr. LaTurner based on his lies, that's their call. But what I'm asking for is something that's honest and truthful. And I will never regret losing a fair fight. But I think that you know that he doesn't have any ideas on healthcare, other than his determination to take yours away. And that his policies of restarting the economy are similar to the ones that Kansas has been digging themselves out of for the last few years. And that's why he's lying about me. So Jake, my challenge to you is simple. Take down the ads. I am appealing to your better angels, and I am appealing for you to start this race with finally some sense of integrity. Because if you don't, you have to admit that you are the very swamp that we are trying to get away from. We don't want a career politician. This is not about politics for me. Integrity matters in elections. Kansans are tired and we deserve better. Don't let yourself be deceived. Thank you.